They see a storm coming over the horizon. They run away from the storm, but the storm eventually catches up to them.
Of
And then
course.
they're running with the storm, and their pain and suffering is prolonged. Buffaloes, on the other hand, when they see a storm coming over the horizon, they run towards it. And because they're running towards it, they run through it. So
Yeah.
their pain and suffering is a lot less. And
Yeah.
it's been
Makes sense.
ingrained in my family, my children, my husband, me, we're buffaloes.
Financial independence,
freedom,
financial picture,
Independent financially,
financial future,
financial freedom and wealth,
financial independence.
Get your fill, financial independence and long life. Hello and welcome to another episode of Get Your Fill, Financial Independence and Long Life. And someone who's here to help us today, Abbe Large. She's going to help us to live large. I hope you don't mind that little thing I did there, Abbe. She is the managing director at Lenox Advisors. She's got 3 decades of experience dedicating herself to her clients' best interests. Her personal experience with her father's pancreatic cancer journey, ingrained how important the products and services she provides to her clients truly work. Specializing in financial estate and retirement services, she also assists corporate clients with strategic employee benefits. She was named on Forbes' top financial security professionals in both 2023 and 22. She's a devoted family woman, an active community member, and enjoys paddleboarding, skiing, and maintaining a healthy lifestyle. Awesome. Thanks for being with us, Abbe.
Thanks for having me.
So we were deciding before all the audience joined us, we were talking about what should we talk about today? And there's so many things you could talk about with Abbe because she has a wealth of experience. She could help us get ready for that day when we want to stop working, or at least want to have to stop worrying about where our next paycheck's coming from, right? Or we want to do our own thing and be able to just enjoy ourselves. But what we decided to talk about today is the idea that sort of television tells us that, the Mr. Potters and the Scrooges and the Grinches and all the, not the Grinch, I guess, but the people of the world who have money, that they're all mean and miserly and really and crappy to people and treat other people badly. And then but yet it's also simultaneously telling us, but you should be rich. You should, financial independence, get fire. And you're like, well, wait a minute. Does that mean I have to be this total jerk who is stingy and crappy and mean to everybody? And, that's not it's not a conscious battle, right? But I think it's a real battle. What do you think, Abbe?
I think money brings out who people truly are.
Yeah.
That saying, money brings out the worst in people. I disagree. I think money brings out who people truly are.
Right. So if you're already a jerk, you're a bigger jerk with more money.
Yeah. Yeah. This is such an interesting topic because there are so many different avenues to go down. Money is a very interesting noun.
Because really, it's a tool, right?
It's a thing.
Yeah. I mean, it's just a tool. It's just energy.
That's
It's
all
just
it is.
whatever,
It's just the means to an end. And but what's interesting about it is it starts like the dysfunction of the topic of money starts in childhood.
Yeah.
It starts with the relationship that your parents had with money and how they talked about it at the dinner table or didn't talk about it at the dinner table. It's about, parents thinking it's taboo to talk about it, and it's not at all. In fact, it's really interesting to me because I help a lot of my clients with their estate planning. And one of my biggest curiosities while I was doing this was, you've spent a lot of time, energy, and money to prepare your generation 2 for this money, but have you prepared them for how to handle the money? And that is a totally different topic. That's a totally different strategy. It's totally different. And it's really important to teach people how to handle money because it can destroy relationships. It can destroy lives. And that's not okay. And it doesn't have to be that way. And I love that you're doing these podcasts. I love that you wrote the book. I love that you're talking about this out loud publicly so that we can feel more comfortable talking about money.
Yeah.
There's also lifestyle creep. right?
That's for sure.
I mean, that's a real thing too. And so, yeah, this topic of money and what it's used for, how it's used, why it's used, what it can do, what it can destroy, what it can help, what it can enlighten, what it can renew. I mean, there's just, it's endless. And it is a tool that people use. That's
Or
it.
abuse.
Or abuse. Use and abuse, whatever, use, whatever. So, yeah. Where do you want to go with this one?
I guess how can we change that subconscious narrative that that you have to be a jerk to get ahead in business, that you have to be, step on the other guy as you're going up the ladder, you're crushing the hands of the other person. And I do think, I hate to say it, but I think men are better at giving another man a hand up than women are. I think women are a little bit more competitive, like there can only be one of us at the top and it's going to be me type of feeling, as opposed to some people that we're getting better at that, but I do think like historically there's that like fight for the attention of the dad almost feeling when we're moving up in corporate America anyway.
Wow. Well, I do not subscribe to that. I never did, and I never will. I'm a girl's
No.
girl. I fight for other women. I protect. I respect. I know. I just, it's just not even in my thought process to bring another woman down because of my self-interest.
Insecurity
Oh my
maybe, or
God.
yeah,
No,
yeah,
it's just, that's horrific.
yeah. It's a
And
thing, unfortunately, but it
it,
is horrific.
I'm going to be bold and say this out loud. If you're doing that, it is so, so, so ugly
Yeah,
and wrong and not okay. It's just not okay.
absolutely.
Um, that's all I got to say about that.
Well, and to turn that around, even if you're not doing it, if you're also not looking around for other women to elevate, then maybe, that's like a middle point, right? So at least, okay, maybe you're not holding other people down, but are you elevating them? So that's another step that you could take if you're not already doing that, to look
Yeah,
around and say, are there other, even, if you're an entrepreneur, you're in the corporate world, whatever you're doing, is there another woman who you could teach, who you could mentor, who you could elevate in some way? Because we need to do this
that's
to
exactly
help each
right. In
other.
fact, I couldn't agree with you more. I have many women around the country that I mentor. In fact, most of my mentees are women. And the universal feeling that I get from the mentees, my women mentees, are that they're timid. They're like afraid. They don't feel safe.
Yeah.
And I'll say this, good leaders make you feel safe. So when they don't feel safe, there's something, it's clear that they're not in the right place
Yeah.
because they don't feel safe. That's not okay. Now, having said that, it doesn't mean you run away. It means you face it.
Yeah.
It means
Yeah.
you go into the storm, you face the storm, you run through it, deal with all that. It's like a buffalo and a cow. You know the buffalo and the cow story.
I don't think I do.
This is a good one. There's a place in Montana where buffaloes and cows migrate together, and they act very differently when they see a storm coming over the horizon. And scientists have studied their behavior. And if you know anything about cows, they run very slowly. So when they see a storm coming over the horizon, they run away from the storm, but the storm eventually catches up to them.
Of
And then
course.
they're running with the storm, and their pain and suffering is prolonged. Buffaloes, on the other hand, when they see a storm coming over the horizon, they run towards it. And because they're running towards it, they run through it. So
Yeah.
their pain and suffering is a lot less. And
Yeah.
it's been
Makes sense.
ingrained in my family, my children, my husband, me. We're buffaloes. In fact, we all have we all have a tattoo
Cool. I love
of a
it.
buffalo, every single one of us, and we're a herd of buffaloes because that's our mentality.
Yeah.
And so I would say this to any woman out there that's listening: if you're in a situation where you don't feel safe, then you need to recalibrate and pivot and make a decision. You're either going to face it or you're going to run.
Yeah.
If you run, that's an option. But if you run, you're really not dealing with the problem, and it's going to go and follow you someplace else. So the best thing, in my opinion, is to be the buffalo and just run, stay, and face it. And fear, by the way, a lot of women feel that fear. It's just the conversation that you're having with yourself. It's all it is.
Right. It's
It,
true. It's not
it,
reality.
it's not, it's just, that's all it is. And just if you remind yourself, it's just a conversation I'm having with myself, and maybe I'll be awkward and maybe I might not say the right things, but at least you're doing it. And the more that you practice that, the more you practice leaning in and leading by example and facing your fear and being that buffalo, the more you practice it, the better you get at it.
Right. Absolutely. Because you know people, right? They leave that, oh, my boss was such a jerk and I quit that job and I went to, and now I have another jerk of a boss.
Yeah.
Yes, because you attracted that same crappy relationship, right? You were
Yeah.
attracted to that crappy relationship, but you haven't attacked it. That's
Yeah.
excellent advice.
Yeah.
Excellent.
And I'll give another piece of advice that has worked for me tremendously through my career, which is for men and women. For women, in your example, that have that ego that want to bring you down, and men that have the ego that have the same insecurity issues. Right?
Yep.
And I'm sorry, I just diagnosed that, but that's my opinion.
Go for it.
um, I just, I think what helps is when someone says something snarky or something stupid or something that just seems off, always respond with, "What did you mean by that?"
Yeah, that's good.
Oh, it's good. I'll tell you why. Because it completely turns it on to the other person. So now all the attention's on them. And if they acted like a jerk, they're going to have to repeat it or back out of it.
Exactly. Oh, maybe you misunderstood me when I said
Exactly.
something really rude.
But the best part about it is maybe you misunderstood me. And then the real nice comment, what they really meant to say and what really moves the needle internally, comes out.
Yeah.
And then
Well, and it's
everyone's
true
gonna,
because
and I'm sorry to interrupt, but I want
no,
one more thing because I'm realizing this. When someone says, "What did you mean by that?" The other people in the room are looking at you in a different light. They're looking at you, oh, she's seeking to understand before she's understood. That's interesting.
yeah, yeah, it's true.
So, what did you
But
mean?
you're absolutely, but sometimes people don't realize how they're coming across, right? They're just used
Uh,
to talking like, talking trash to everybody. And then when you like stop them and they have to think about, well, what did I just say? And they think, maybe that didn't come out exactly the way I wanted it to. Yeah.
yeah, I think people who are jerks, they're just genuinely unhappy, and I feel bad for them.
Me
I
too.
do. I just feel bad. And money. Well, we started this conversation off with the money, people being jerks with money, and yeah. What's interesting, and this is the first time I've said this out loud too. When I first started in my career, I had full flexibility with how much I make, right? Because I have my own business. And
Yep.
when I was younger, I grew up, I didn't have a lot of money. I worked since I was 14 years old. If I wanted anything, I had to work for it.
Yep.
And nothing was ever handed to me. But when I got in, started, earning a good living, I started buying things that I wanted because I thought it would make me feel better. I thought, oh, how cool, I have this. It's a status thing. And I'm going to tell you a little secret. Everything is tucked away in my closet.
Yeah.
I don't really use it anymore. And it's interesting. It's a really deep internal shift because I don't feel like I need those things any longer. And I realize I never did.
Right. But it's a way for other people to recognize your success. And
Is it
maybe for you
though?
too,
Is
like,
it
oh, I can
though?
carry this expensive handbag,
Is it
and
though?
or
Think about
whatever.
that.
Yeah.
I'm like I really want to know your thoughts here. Like, is it though?
Well, why else would it be? Is it because you think this is what wealthy people do? Or, I mean, why do you think you wanted that stuff?
Personally, because I thought it's beautifully made. They're pieces are handmade, it's an investment because they appreciate and value,
Hmm.
which when I told my husband this, he really didn't believe me until we went to like a Louis Vuitton like museum. And I'm like, you see? Um, having said all that, though, it doesn't change my relationship in any way. It doesn't change my health in any way.
Right.
Does it does it make me feel good? Sure, okay. But it's a material thing.
Hmm.
Now, then that's different. Material is different than status.
Yeah.
Status is different. And there are many internal definitions of status. So I guess the real question is, when do you feel you've arrived?
Right. Some people never feel that way, right? They're always searching
I
for
think you're
that.
right. I think you're
They're,
right. I do. Or maybe they like no one's ever knocked them over the head and said, hey, you've made it. It's you
yeah. Well,
survived.
and sometimes even if they do, they'll be like, oh, they don't know. You know what I mean? I'm faking it till I make it. You don't know how insecure I am. You don't know how hard it was for me to do X, Y, Z, right? Or like you've got that internal voice that's saying, you're really actually not enough, regardless of what other people say, and regardless of the way the world views you. But then that warps all your relationships too, because you think you can't respect people because they don't, they don't know you, right? You've got this wall in front of you because you feel like you have this dirty secret, right? I'm not really enough. You just think I am.
That's interesting. Uh, That's really interesting. Now that I'm self-reflecting, because I have things, but I'm not putting them on. I'm not wearing them. I'm just plain Abby. And I'm okay with that. Like,
Yeah.
I don't need to tell other people or not tell other people, but I don't know. I don't know. I don't dress for others. I used to,
Yeah.
but I don't anymore. I dress for myself.
Yeah.
Um, but things, those are just things. Now money is also extremely useful to save
Absolutely.
versus spending.
Yeah. Could I work 1 year less if I didn't buy these 5 things? Hey, maybe.
Yeah,
Okay.
let me
That could
tell
be
you
totally a
something.
good choice.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Am I a little bit remorseful of the fact that I spent that money and didn't invest it? Sure, maybe just a little bit, but okay. It's fine.
Yeah.
Live and learn. It's your experience. But I think, I think you, I think the crux of this whole thing is security
Yeah.
versus insecurity,
Yes.
which
Exactly.
means so much more than the word itself.
Yeah. Exactly. And that's why, when you get to that place where, it's okay if everybody thinks I'm a loser or whatever, like, because I know inside and I know 100% what I'm capable of, who I am. I'm good with myself. I wear clothes that are comfortable, and who cares if people think I'm a fashionista or a, homeless person, right? I mean, I hope that's not offensive to homeless people who see the way I dress and say, well, we dress a little better than you. But but yeah, and that's what it comes down to. So I guess like to bring this all like full circle, how can we help people to get there, to feel like I don't need to waste my money on a flashy car because I know that it's more important to me that my child has, this particular, freedom and lifestyle and can go to any college, or it's more important that I can stop working at this certain age, and I don't care what other people. How can we help people to feel comfortable that they have enough money and that they deserve to have that much money, and that, do you know what I mean? Like to get that comfort level with money and with themselves. It's a tall order. We got about 10 more minutes.
Wow. Are we talking about people that have earned it? Are we talking about people that have inherited it? Are we talking like, what are we talking about? There's so many.
Let's talk about people who've earned it.
Okay. I think people who have earned it are leading by example, and they should continue to lead by example, because if you've earned it, you understand the experience of earning it, and don't rob your kids of that. it's really interesting to me. A lot of people, a lot of my clients say, oh, but I don't want them to suffer like I did. And then my retort is, how do you think you got how you are?
Right.
So don't rob your children of earning money and being independent. It is the biggest gift you can give your children and yourself. It is truly the best feeling to know that your child is financially, emotionally, intellectually secure.
Yeah.
So sure, if you want to make yourself feel good and drive in a good car, of course you deserve that. That's fine. Most people in America and the world do it. It's fine. But it's really about teaching your kids not what to think, but how to think. It's a big difference. And
Yeah.
you have to be very conscious because your children are mirroring you.
Yeah.
They are feeding off of you. And if you are a parent that really, truly, deeply cares about how your children go off into the world, then you need to think very, very consciously about how you behave around money.
Yeah.
That is the most important message I could say to your audience is lead by example, talk about it often,
Yeah.
and get under the hood with those feelings.
Yeah.
And I think that that is a really important thing to do.
Tell me, what kind of things do you do with your kids to help them be prepared to be good stewards and with their money and to be financially um, capable or financially literate when they are in the position where they have to take care of themselves?
One of the things that my husband and I did when they were teenagers in high school was we usually go on a family trip. You know, kids come along, they have no idea. They just show up, right?
Right.
So one day we said, we're going to go on a family trip. This is your budget. You need to tell us three locations where you'd like to go: hotel, restaurants, activities, the whole thing, soup to nuts, airfare. Here's the budget, go. And give us a presentation.
Awesome.
What that taught them, oh my God. I'm still realizing it to this day, what it taught them. I mean, because they know how to, make reservations. They know how to call the Airbnb places and find the best deals. They know which credit cards to use to get the points. They know how to call. And we're going on a trip. Now my children are adulting, but I called my daughter. I said, could you do me a favor? Just, can you take care of the reservations for this trip? And she did. It was like, and she took pride in doing it because she's so
Yeah.
good at it. I'm
Right.
terrible at it. To me, don't ask. But, these are the things that you teach your children how to do. And she's making the reservations, and they talk to each other. It also taught them to work together, to talk about money, to talk about what they wanted to do and work it out. That's really important because in a relationship, they're going to have relationships that they need to talk about money and they need to
Right.
talk about these things. I find it very troubling when one spouse doesn't want to know anything about anything. And I don't like that. It's uncomfortable. And I'm leaning into making sure that doesn't happen under my watch.
Yeah.
Because I can certainly control my clients. But if whoever's listening, please, everyone needs to know where things are and who to call. That's just my last plug-in, but yeah, are we running out of time? Because we could sit here and talk
No,
about
you can
this
keep talking. You're good. You're good.
for a long, long time. So I did that with the kids when they were younger. We did give them an allowance when they
Mhm.
were young. That was not tied to any chores. It was just an allowance. This is
Yeah.
money. You can save it, spend it, invest it, give it away.
Yeah.
That's all you get, and that's it. sometimes even now, my youngest, I'll get like a Venmo for $6.73. I'm like, what the heck is this? She says, I went over my allowance this month. I owe you back.
Oh my
Oh
God,
my
I
God. Wow. Okay. Wow. Wow. All right. I'll take it.
love it.
So, these are things that when when you teach them at such a young age that money is not tied to grades or taking up the garbage or cleaning up the dishes and making your bed, that's just you being part of a community.
Right.
And your home as children, that's your first community, and they have to be taught to do their share. And it should have nothing to do with money. If my kid came home with a great grade, I gave them a love. I gave them love. I
Right.
told them how proud I was of them. That's it.
Yeah.
And that's all I do. And they are really self-sufficient. They talk amongst each other about a lot of, investments and they're saving. And it's just yeah, you just have to really start early and keep at it and give them
Right.
fun stuff to do and let them fall under your watch. Let them make mistakes under your roof because you only have 18 years. That's it. And that's not a lot of time.
Right.
So in the 18 years that you have them under your roof, talk about money, talk about how it feels, talk about what it does, talk about how it helps, how it can hurt, all of it. The
Yeah.
good, the bad, the ugly. And that's what we've done.
And
That's
what
what
you
we've done.
also did, maybe without realizing it, maybe intentionally, but by giving them that power and trusting them, you help to build their self-confidence. You help to,
Yeah.
right, to make them feel like, hey, my mom thinks I can plan a vacation. That's awesome. She must think I'm pretty cool, I mean, that's good job. Good you, Abby. Good job.
Thank you. Thank you. You said something in the beginning. You said live large. Our family motto is live, love, laugh large.
Nice.
And so I just wanted to put that out there because you brought up the living large, but living large does not necessarily mean money.
Right. That's for sure, actually. Lots of money does not immediately translate to an amazing life.
No,
Amazing life is intentional.
it really truly is. Money it makes things easier for sure. And you want to make sure you show your children, you know, that if you have money, it's a big responsibility and you have to respect it. That's the biggest message.
Yeah.
And those people that you're talking about, perhaps they just don't respect it or how it. And I just thought about this. What's interesting is I don't think those people realize how they're presenting themselves.
Yeah.
Or maybe, I don't know, maybe they're imposters. Maybe they're trying to be someone else. I don't know.
Yeah. Yeah. Well, imposter syndrome is a big thing that
It's a
often
big thing.
accompanies, newly acquired wealth
Hmm.
or status or whatever.
Yeah. And what's also interesting is that I work with a lot of wealthy families, Gen 1, Gen 2, Gen 3, and typically they run out of money by Gen 3.
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
that's when, after all these years doing what I'm doing, the conversation's getting much bigger for me.
Yeah.
How are you going to handle the money? Let's talk about that.
Yeah. So now what I want you to tell us now is, I'm sure like people listening to this are like, oh man, Abby she's a million miles beyond my current financial person. And I want to talk to her and I want to get with her and I want her to help me to see the big picture, help my kids to see the big picture, help me to plan my future, my retirement, my whatever, my estate. So how can people reach you?
Oh, please email me, ALarge@lenoxadvisors.com. And Lenox is with one N, Lenox, Advisors. But please email me. I'm an open book, or just send me a message on LinkedIn. Um, Either way.
Awesome. You heard her, folks. Abby has invited you to email her. And as you can see, there are no bad conversations with Abby. So if I didn't ask the question that you wanted me to ask, why don't you email Abby and ask her yourself? But Abby, is there any question that you wish I would have asked you or something that you just really want to make sure that we leave people with?
Oh my gosh. Thank you for that. No, I loved this conversation. I love that you're doing this. I love that you're leaning in and talking about this with other women and just keep doing it. I thank you so much for having me on your show.
Thank you so much. You've brought a nice, beautiful ray of sunshine on this snowy day. And I really appreciate it and enjoyed talking with you.
Same. Thank you.
And thank you, listener, for listening. Do you know anyone who has money or would like to have money? If you do, forward this episode to them because they will thank you and we will thank you. And in the meantime, have a beautiful week and we'll see you next week.